So I grew up in Maryland, literally all over Maryland, like most Marylandites. You live in one place and you just move around everywhere. So Prince George County has been my home forever. My husband is currently working in the Pentagon. So I have had the pleasure of living everywhere for over 20 years. I relocated back to Southern Maryland. When we got here, unfortunately, there were no homes available. It was right at the pandemic. So homes went from affordable 300,000 400,000 to 600,000 700,000 overnight. Same homes, nothing happened. And so, but regardless, I said Prince George is my home. Prince George is my heart. So all of my money, resources, everything stays in Prince George County.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, did you grow up in a two-parent household? Did you have siblings?
So unfortunately not. My situation was a little bit different. My dad was a Marine. And so my mom worked in the medical field. She was not feeling military lifestyle at all. So, bless her heart, she was like, I'm single. I can't deal with this. But a lot of young military wives find out very fast, this isn't a lifestyle for everybody. It's a very lonely lifestyle. It's just very solitary. Your family, friends, they're all gone. And so, but between them two, I mean, I didn't miss out on anything. I do have two brothers.
Okay. What was your first job, and what did it teach you about life?
Oh my gosh, my first job was at Burger King. And what it taught me, well, my first job was a Marine daughter. So if you know how to do hospital sheets, it taught me very much. You're waking up at 5 o'clock, making sure that everything is your room is in order. Um, my mom was very much a Saturday cleanup mom. So we waking up at Saturday at on Saturdays, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, somebody screeching in the background, the smell of pine sol, and dancing while we're cleaning. So that taught me a lot about prioritizing what's important to me. What's important to me is making sure that my house is in order before I can go out into the world to do anything else.
This is my last question, then I'll pass it to the ladies. Who was your biggest role model growing up, and did they influence you to become a politician?
My biggest role model growing up, oh God, there's so many. um, my biggest role model growing up was my kindergarten teacher, Miss Nicholas. Her husband was a sheriff. He was, but she had always aspired. She was a person that would go to the jails and talk to the prisoners because she probably taught them, and she knew everybody. The town, we know everybody. And she saw something in me. She was like, I cannot wait to you write your story and talk about this moment right here, because she believed in me. She believed that I had something in me, a fighter in me that was unstoppable. She felt that no matter, I was a tiny kid, I wasn't a big kid, but I had the spirit of a chihuahua. I never let people get bullied around me. I never let people get pushed over around me. I was not the cool kid. I was not a weird kid. I was just kind of an in the middle kid that everybody knew. But one thing about me is that people would always come to me with their problems. And although I was in a Future Business Leaders of America groups growing up, my aspiration was to always be a servant to the people. I've always wanted to help my community through church organizations, PTAs, black tie events, anything that I could do to help the community grow and be stronger, bring in anything that we were missing. I saw a lot of things around the world that I want to bring into our community. And I travel places and I see things and I'm like, oh, we could really use that here. So that's me. That's me. I see things in other places and I want to implement it where I lay my head.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna kick it over to an actual resident of the district you'd be representing, Kelly Corinne, St. George's County. Let me add the
Prince.
S. Oh, Prince George's County.
George's,
Jeez.
yeah.
So she'll ask her questions now.
Okay, so I know my viewers want to know this. Are you are you a are you foundational Black American? And what I
Yes,
mean
I
by
am.
that is, oh, you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Blood in the ground. Yeah.
Great. So anyway, yeah, that was my first question. And my I guess my follow-up question would be, because I did take a look at your website and you have a really great website too.
Thank you.
I know Nora, no problem. I know Nora put it in the chat, but I saw that, one of your I guess you would say platform bullet points is education. And in Prince George's County, and I know you're a longtime resident, we make good money as far as, compared to the other counties in the state of Maryland, yet our school system is lacking. Like right now we're ranked like 2022, even though the state of Maryland is ranked really high in public education. Our district, our county is ranked pretty low as far as the state. So my question to you is, do you support some form of school choice? Because I'm from PG County and I was fortunate enough to go to private school my whole life, but it would have been great if my parents could have been able to have something to offset coming out of pocket. They had to pay two private school tuitions. So that's my question to you. Are you a supporter of some form of school choice for the county or for Maryland?
So my stance on education is whatever the constituents want, that's what will be at the forefront. It is never I never want to take up space. I don't have little children to make that choice anymore in my lifetime, right? So I also want to leave a lot of these conversations up to the constituents. If the constituents majority, and I'm always going to go with majority rules. If the constituents are for school choice it is. If the constituents are like, how are we going to offset this? Let's come up with a plan. Let's come up with a game plan, because you're right. People should have a choice and people shouldn't have to pay for school. I'm very much, after going to China, going to Japan, living in Germany, I am very much against people paying for education on any platform, in the first place, being it private, public, any form. Education should be free up until college. Education in all formats should be free in my book. I've seen countries who are developing who have free education, and it's offset by the government. And we cannot no longer say we don't have the funds, because we saw how much money was sent to the Ukraine. We see how much money is sent to different countries. Israel, absolutely. And so we can offset sending all that money to those people, because that doesn't do anything for the basic American. For baseline Americans, and also taxes. I'm so glad that somebody brought up taxes. We do not need to pay the price that we pay to live in the Northeast, right? Because we're not getting anything better than anybody living in Alabama. We don't have better fruit, oranges than somebody that lives in Florida, right? So back to school choice. If the constituents want school choice, the constituents will get school choice. And I want to tell you this, all of this can be done by your congressperson. Your congressperson has the authority to make this happen, but the people that have been in Congress all of this time have done nothing to help people except line their own pockets.
Facts. That was a great answer, Eldwina,
I agree.
because what I like that you said was you're willing to you're willing to do what the constituents want and not just what the party wants. And I think that's what we need in Maryland. But that's it for my question. I'll let
Well, yeah, I'm impressed. I'm going to be honest with you. Never say never for voting Democrat, y'all. Never say never, because majority of our chat tonight is Republican. I'll be honest with you, Eldwina, or independent leaning. But my question is going to shift gear more in like a national perspective. I saw on your platform you heavily talked about supporting veterans. So I really appreciate that. From a family of multiple veterans. In my family, they served, and my son's father is actively serving. So I can greatly appreciate someone that looks out for veterans. Also, Gray Mars, the founder of the channel, is a veteran. Thank you, Gray, for your service. But I wanted you to speak on more on your platform, what you plan on doing, nationally for veterans.
So one thing that I want to do for veterans is make veterans protected citizens. Veterans are one of the most, outside of Black Americans, one of the most discriminated groups in America. There is no way you should put your life on the line, even if it's just to pay for college, even if it's just to get yourself in a better financial situation. You should not be living on the streets after you have made the ultimate sacrifice. So one thing that I want to do for veterans and their children and their current spouses is make them protected citizens. So they're not discriminated against when they're going for job interviews. Also, I want to put a capless federal mandate that no matter the administration, veterans are protected, and nothing that any administration coming in or out will harm veterans or their families. Veterans should never have to decide between paying a bill or buying groceries. All of our veterans, all of our active duty military that did not come from wealth, and I want to just throw this little tidbit in, you cannot financial literacy your way into wealth. Wealth is generational. But all of our veterans should never live from paycheck to Friday, right? They should have, their contracts should be financially higher. When you're coming into the military, I want to put a federal mandate on you're coming in with 60,000, right? And those contracts, because our military is only 1% of the population. So I've done the math a million times. We can literally give veterans and military personnel $1 million each, and it will not bother the deficit at all. Our GDP will literally just grow by giving veterans and military personnel more money. I want to make them protected citizens. I want to, bump their pay to the stratosphere. I want military personnel. I want people to want to go into the military because it is a financially good and strong hold. I want to make sure that military personnel can do their job without the government impeding on them. Because for us to sleep at night, our military got to do what they got to do. And going through Congress, that's one thing, right? We don't want you being a bully out there, but we also know that the American people need to sleep peacefully at night and not know all the bad things that got to happen to make sure they're sleeping peacefully. And for these veterans that have sacrificed, have PTSD, have lost limbs, they shouldn't be paying for anything anymore. We need to bring in better medical personnel for them. I don't believe that the VA is living up to what they can do because they're under such constraints. I do believe the VA needs to be expanded, not disbanded. I do believe that we need to bring in better equipped medical providers, bigger medical providers, more medical providers. And I do believe that it is to the private sector a little bit, but we need to expand that. So I have so many things that I want to do with military personnel. The first thing I want to do, though, is make them protected citizens. Above all, I want to pay them more money. I want to make sure that we're thanking them and their families for the ultimate sacrifice.
You're muted. You're muted.
That was a great answer. Thank you, Eldwina. So I have two more questions and then I'll kick it over to Mia. My next
I love
question
that.
is, right now in the United States, we are extremely divided. I would like to know, do you think, if you are elected in, what you can do to unite the right and the left? And what are some things that you would want to implement, once you do become elected?
One of the biggest things that we need to do is we need to have a table where people are not screaming at each other, and we need to talk to each other. We need to find common ground. We need to be more than just a party line, right? We are neighbors in real life. We grocery shop together in real life. We go to church together in real life, right? So we're not divided on living together. So our politics shouldn't be divided. If you want less government, fine. You want less government. If you want more government, fine. You want more government. If you want people to help out more people overseas, that's fine. But we don't need to be divided over that. Your wants and needs are your wants and needs, right? But it shouldn't divide us. It never has in any other time. The divisiveness is always going to be Trump. It's always going to be evil. It's always going to be, I am a mediocre person and I want all the power in the world, right? So once we confront that mediocrity, once we are we're seizing canon events like, oh, our kids go to school together, or I play kickball and you can't play kickball. We have to find common ground. There's no other way around it. We have to find common ground, and finding common ground and understanding that we are more than just a party. We are human beings. We have wants, needs, desires, and we all deserve everything in the world. We have to come together. What is happening now is the process of not listening to each other. It's the process of my team won. Real life now, people lives are falling apart because your team won. Instead of seeing this as politics is real life. You cannot not want to be part of politics. Politics is real life, and people real lives depend on good candidates. It depends on understanding your candidates and your candidates actually listening to the constituents and neighbors and friends, and are like, listen, these are things that really matter. Like I think the 92% predicted this. I mean, nothing was a surprise in what was going to happen, but people saw this as a game instead of people real lives at stake.